As the movie begins, we are introduced to Lauren Monroe, a renowned lawyer. She's offered $1 million to defend a criminal in court, but she turns it down. Why? Because she values honesty and doing what's right more than making big money. Lawyers make a lot of money, anyway. The story then shifts to Lauren's younger brother, William Monroe, who's trying to become the mayor of New York City. Next, we meet their father, Archer Monroe, a wealthy businessman. He's out in the woods when he suddenly has trouble breathing. He manages to get to his car but tragically passes away on his way home. Lauren, who's at a press conference, gets the heartbreaking news. The scene changes to Archer's funeral, where the entire family gathers to pay their respects. After the funeral, the siblings talk, and William reveals that their father is proud of Lauren. They also discuss moving their mother closer to them. After the funeral, Lauren goes to her father's office and remembers the good times when he taught her chess. She sees how the game mirrors life's complexities. A few days later, the family attorney, Harold, shows up to share Archer's will. The will named Catherine, Lauren's mother, as the new CEO of their company. William gets $20 million, while Lauren, for some reason, is left with just $1 million. The remaining $50 million are to be donated to police and medical schools. Harold talks to Lauren in private and hands her a package left by her father. Inside, she finds a USB stick and a pair of keys. She inserts the USB stick into her laptop and discovers a video message from her late father. In the video, he asks her to uncover a hidden truth and expresses remorse. Because he couldn't reveal it while he was alive, the secret now exposed is that you're only worth a 20th of what your brother is. In the next scene, a stunned Lauren decides to venture into the woods to uncover this hidden truth. Before she can do that, her husband stops her, worried about her well-being. She reassures him, saying she just needs some time alone. In the woods, she finds a locked hatch that looks like an entrance. With the key she found earlier, she opens the padlock, revealing a set of stairs leading to a basement. Nervously, Lauren descends into the dark bunker and discovers a restrained man behind a door. Although frightened, she approaches to check on him, but his sudden movement startles her, and she rushes out of the bunker. Back at home, Lauren thinks about calling 911 for help, but her brother intervenes in the nick of time. He empathizes with her about the unequal distribution of money from their father's will and offers to share his portion. However, Lauren declines, emphasizing that money isn't her top priority. That evening, Lauren gazes at a childhood photo of herself with her father and recalls a past argument with him. It turns out Archer had asked her to represent his wealthy friends in court, a request she refused due to her unwillingness to defend criminals like her father's friend who claimed his friend Bill was falsely accused of inappropriate behavior. The next morning, Lauren decides to revisit the bunker, this time armed with a gun. When she enters, she finds the man asleep, so she discreetly takes his fingerprints to identify him. But as he wakes up, she hastily retreats. She returns later with a face mask and asks his name. To her surprise, the man knows every detail about Lauren and her family, including her birthday, her brother's name, and even her marriage, which was against her father's wishes. Convinced by his familiarity, Lauren takes off her mask and questions him again. Instead of answering, the man asks whether she is a good person. When she confirms, he urges her to release him, saying that's what a good person would do. Lauren remains skeptical, suspecting that he must have committed a serious offense to warrant his imprisonment. She tries to understand the situation, but the man initially demands a luxurious meal, including steak, salad, chocolates, cigarettes, and a bottle of liquor, along with a shave. Lauren threatens to leave him confined for life, but he knows her conscience won't allow that. Realizing he has the upper hand, she decides to meet his demands and gives him a razor before leaving. Upon returning home, Lauren scans the fingerprints and sends them to her family friend, Detective Emilio Sanchez, asking him to run a check on them as soon as possible. Afterward, she purchases all the items the man had requested and heads back to the bunker. The man, after many years of confinement, eagerly devours the delicious food, tears of joy streaming down his face. Lauren offers him a chocolate bar, which makes him even more emotional. The man reveals himself as Morgan Warner and grabs Lauren's hand. He apologizes, explaining it's been a long time since he had human contact. Morgan then starts to unravel his backstory. He shares how he had crossed paths with Archer 3 decades earlier and quickly formed a friendship. They bonded over their shared interests in gambling, money, and women, eventually becoming business partners. According to Morgan, one fateful midnight, Archer was drunk and driving, with Morgan in the passenger seat. Tragedy struck when Archer hit a pedestrian, resulting in his immediate death. Morgan wanted to call the police, but Archer insisted on disposing of the body, believing it was an accident. The two had a heated argument, and Archer locked Morgan up in the very bunker. Morgan also discloses Archer's affair with a woman named Sofia, who had everything Catherine lacked. Because of this, Archer referred to her as his Gypsy Rose. Lauren is initially skeptical of these claims, so Morgan provides her with Sofia's address and urges her to check it herself. He also asks her to verify with Harold, who has been with Archer for years. Enraged, Lauren walks away, struggling to process all of these shocking revelations. Nevertheless, she somehow manages to remain composed. She contacts Emilio and tasks him with verifying the background of a certain Morgan Warner. Afterward, she drives to the provided address and meets Sofia. When asked about her connection with her father, Sofia explains that she met Archer in a poker game. As they continue their conversation, Lauren notices a photograph of a young boy and asks about him. In response, Sofia reveals a startling truth. The boy is her son, Alex, who also happens to be Lauren's half-brother. Overwhelmed by this overwhelming revelation, Lauren leaves with tears in her eyes. Later on, Lauren pays a visit to Harold's office and lets loose her anger at him for keeping such a massive secret hidden from the family. In response, Harold explains that it's his responsibility to maintain confidentiality. Lauren goes on to inquire about any other hidden information, to which Harold reassures her that there's nothing else that could harm her. He also suggests that she move on, indicating that he'll continue keeping the rest of the information concealed. Subsequently, Lauren approaches her mother and asks if she's familiar with Morgan Warner, but the name doesn't ring a bell, as she does not know of him. William enters, looking stressed. When asked, he reveals that he's losing votes despite putting in every effort. William urges Lauren to join the campaign rally, relying on her reputation for honesty. She hesitantly agrees. On the same night, Lauren revisits the bunker, seeking answers. She questions Morgan about the whereabouts of the pedestrian's body her father had buried. Morgan makes a deal: he'll reveal the burial site if she promises to set him free afterward. Lauren reluctantly agrees, and they step outside. Morgan is overwhelmed by the fresh air, experiencing freedom for the first time in years. In the next scene, Lauren follows Morgan's directions to the burial site in the woods. She begins digging and uncovers a human skull, confirming Morgan's story. She reburies the remains, returning Morgan to the bunker. Despite her father's cruelty, she orders him to wear his metal collar again. Morgan pleads with her not to betray him, appealing to her identity as an honest lawyer and urging her not to follow in her father's footsteps. Morgan also shares his suffering, recounting that he was unable to attend his mother's funeral due to his confinement. He begs her to let him spend his remaining years in peace, vowing to disappear from their lives without causing any harm. But despite his heartfelt explanation, Lauren, unsure about anything anymore, apologizes and departs. Afterward, Lauren calls the detective to inquire about any information on Morgan Warner. However, the detective informs her that it might take a few more days, leaving her skeptical about Morgan's credibility. The following day, Lauren visits her brother's office under the guise of seeking guidance for her court case. She presents a hypothetical scenario, asking what he would do to someone who possesses all the family's secrets and poses a threat. In response, William offers two options: disposing of the person's body in a river or paying them to disappear forever. Lauren recognizes her brother's aptitude for politics. After careful consideration, Lauren returns to the bunker with a bag and makes Morgan promise that he'll vanish forever once he's freed. Following this, she approaches Harold, asking him to arrange $1 million and a private jet for the person her father had wronged. Despite Harold's inquiry into the motive, she chooses not to disclose it. Later, as Morgan prepares to leave, Lauren asks him if her father has mentioned anything about her. Morgan reveals that Archer was very proud of his daughter, but he didn't like that she opposed his friends. At this point, Morgan shares another secret. Her brother William has been bribing union representatives. Enraged, Lauren immediately heads to her brother's office and confronts him. In response, William admits that bribery is essential for advancing in rank and claims that even their father had used it to secure her position as a district attorney. Hearing all this, an enraged Lauren slaps her brother and walks away, warning him not to deceive her again. In the next scene, Morgan finally leaves the bunker, taking a chess piece as a memento. As he steps outside, he inhales the fresh air and experiences a sense of liberation. Lauren escorts him to the private jet, where Harold provides him with new identification cards and briefs him on his account funds. While Harold and Morgan board the jet, Lauren drives back to the bunker to clean the place. During this time, she discovers a bottle of poison beneath the bed but doesn't react, deeming that everything is over now. On the other hand, Emilio locates Morgan's file and delivers it to Lauren's residence in the evening. Catherine arrives home and opens the package. A few moments later, Lauren enters the room and sees her mother looking at her package with fear. Catherine expresses her concern, asking why Lauren has a picture of Carson Thomas. Lauren clarifies that his actual name is Morgan and proceeds to truthfully disclose that her father had confined him in the bunker for an extended period. In response, Catherine unveils a shocking revelation. The man is, in fact, a ruthless serial killer. Catherine asks where he is right now, to which Lauren tells her that she released him in a state of panic. Lauren rushes to the airport only to discover the lifeless bodies of Harold and the pilot. She soon realizes that Morgan is now after her mother. Lauren then speeds back home and freaks out when she doesn't find Catherine there. Terrified, she rushes to the bunker and finds her mother lying unconscious. As she checks on her mother, Morgan shows up from the shadows and plunges the area into darkness by switching off the lights. He then launches a sudden attack and ties her up. Upon regaining consciousness, Morgan discloses the actual truth that he was the one who administered the poison to her father, ultimately claiming his life. He also recounts the night when he gave a pill to Catherine and forced himself on her. Archer spotted him doing so, leading to an altercation that resulted in a collision with a pedestrian. Further revelations indicate that Morgan was the one who buried the body, despite Archer's objections. When Morgan attempted to place the blame entirely on Archer, the latter retaliated by physically subduing him and confining him to the bunker. After hearing all of this, Lauren tries to sway him, assuring him that she'll help him seek justice for whatever her family did to him throughout the years. However, Morgan asserts that he just wants revenge, expressing his desire to make them endure the same misery that he suffered for 3 decades. He also unveils his strategy to destroy the family's reputation by exploiting the secrets he holds regarding every member. In a dramatic twist, he finally reveals himself to be Lauren's biological father, leaving her stunned. As all of this is happening, Catherine, who has come back to her senses, grabs the gun from the ground and shoots him in the head, ultimately killing him. The tale reaches its end as the mother and daughter drench the bunker in gasoline and set it ablaze, marking a fiery conclusion.